Logan, what do you think of the decision?
Absolutely a little fucked up. But when you take care of me forever and ever.
What Jake Paul did, he's trying to survive, he's not trying to engage. And so therefore, it's your job to cut him down.
Well, big well done to AJ. We knew from day one AJ was going to do it, the better fighter was going to win.
People think that Jake Paul was running. Do you feel like he ran or do you like...
I mean, I guess someone like AJ, AJ's a big guy, strong guy, and he can hurt you. So yeah, 100%, like, he's going to want to avoid his power, but you know what, he got caught in the corner and bang.
So here's what went down when Logan Paul completely lost his mind over Anthony Joshua's beatdown of Jake Paul. Logan's out here screaming that Joshua should be locked up forever, claiming he was trying to murder Jake instead of just fighting him. But every single one of his attempts to embarrass Joshua just backfires spectacularly. What we actually see is a licensed killer doing what he does best, shattering Jake's face and showing everyone exactly why top-tier heavyweights don't mess around with internet celebrities.
I just pissed him off. Then he broke my brother's jaw. His jaw, huh? Yeah, he's supposed to jaw.
Yeah?
You don't care, Jake's having a fucking blast.
Logan Paul's having a complete meltdown, screaming that Anthony Joshua crossed every line and almost put his little brother in intensive care. He keeps talking about how Jake dominated 4 whole rounds, but Joshua's savage performance tells a completely different story. Logan's out here demanding Joshua get punished while talking up Jake's bravery. But every single devastating blow just proves how absolutely terrifying Anthony Joshua's power really is, even though Logan swears he went way too far.
In my opinion, he won 4 of them. People argue that he at least won 3. No one expected him to last that long. Rolled his ankle, broke his jaw, still fucking fighting, man. Like, that's toughness.
Duke McKenzie absolutely destroys Logan Paul's fantasy without even having to spell it out. Logan's busy creating this fairy tale where Jake's some kind of hero, but everyone can see Jake was just trying not to get killed by Anthony Joshua, this ruthless heavyweight machine. Every bone-crushing hit shows off Joshua's incredible power, making Logan's wild claims seem desperate, pathetic, and totally disconnected from what actually happens when you step into that ring.
Jake Paul knew exactly what his tactics would be going into that fight. He was in there just to survive. He wasn't in there to win. He didn't even try to win. He couldn't win. So when you know in your mindset, you know in your mind's like, I can't win that fight. What do? I've got to survive. How do I survive? I've got to run.
Carl Frosch isn't holding back, quietly dismantling everything the Paul brothers represent. Logan keeps bragging about lasting 6 whole rounds, but Frosch shows everyone how ridiculous that sounds. Anthony Joshua controlled every single second of that fight. Watching the Paul brothers act like clowns after getting schooled by real heavyweight power just proves how Anthony Joshua's vicious skills turn their whole act into a joke, reminding everyone why YouTube celebrities have no business fighting actual professionals.
To say, look, Fabio Wardley now has won the fight fair and square, because that's the decision, that's the referee's final decision. Wardley wins the fight. It is now mandatory for Alexander Usyk. What is he going to do against Alexander Usyk? Where do we go from here? Alexander Usyk.
Eddie Hearn drops the truth bomb that Logan refuses to face. Jake's entire strategy was just staying conscious. All those moments Logan tries to paint as courageous completely fall apart when you actually watch what happened. Anthony Joshua's elite heavyweight strength had Jake running scared the entire time, showing that no matter how much Logan screams on the internet, YouTube drama can't compete with genuine ring mastery.
Listen, I mean, at the end of the day, Jake had one job, and that was to try and survive. I mean, he was never ever going to win the fight, ever. And if you would have said to me, do I think he'll go 6 rounds? I would have said absolutely not. I mean, I felt that it would take AJ a couple of rounds to get hold of him, because I knew Jake can move a bit and he'd be moving off the...
Johnny Nelson cut.
The reality cuts right through all the nonsense, destroying Logan's made-up story. Jake straight up admitted he got destroyed. This wasn't some victory celebration, it was a brutal education. Anthony Joshua's complete control left the Paul family looking like amateurs, and every internet rant Logan posts just shows how clueless they were going up against a real heavyweight killer.
So you've got to make this kid have a reality check. And that's what he actually did, because Jake Paul himself said, I'm shattered. You know, this guy,
Spencer Oliver breaks it down with ice-cold honesty. Anthony Joshua didn't just beat Jake Paul, he absolutely crushed him. Joshua owned that ring completely, letting Jake scramble around like wounded prey before landing that single devastating shot that split his jaw in half. Logan Paul trying to make this sound heroic just shows how out of touch they really are. Joshua's controlled violence exposed every single weakness, proving that real heavyweights don't just fight, they completely destroy their opponents. This wasn't some internet publicity stunt, this was a clinic in power, perfect timing and ruthless execution, leaving the Paul brothers humiliated while Joshua's dominance remains untouchable.
For Anthony Joshua, I think that he needed to get the job done inside the distance, you know, and he done it. Look, he could have done it at any given point. I think that he could have cut the ring off whenever he wanted to and got Jake Paul out of there. He took his time on that. He allowed Jake Paul to run around like a rabbit and throw the occasional shot from time to time, and I think he only landed one clean punch, didn't he, Anthony Joshua? And that was the one that broke his jaw.
Simon Jordan perfectly captures how absurd Logan Paul's version of events really sounds. Jake Paul spent the whole fight running, dodging, and then spinning his heroic fairy tale online, but Anthony Joshua's actual performance in the ring speaks way louder than any YouTube hype machine. Logan's dramatic antics can't cover up the fact that Joshua broke Jake down both mentally and physically. Every desperate escape, every missed punch just highlights Joshua's incredible power and boxing intelligence. This fight showed everyone exactly where the Paul brothers hit their ceiling, making their internet tough guy act look like pure comedy, while Joshua's surgical performance proved that YouTube followers mean absolutely nothing against a true heavyweight destroyer.
Side being a boxer, Netflix have got some wonderful content, and Jake Paul runs around doing what Jake Paul does. So everybody wins, and only the people that don't win are the people that go, well, look at, and even the people that think Anthony Joshua is a busted flush.
Pain Game completely exposes how badly the Paul brothers misread this situation while showing off Anthony Joshua's total control. Jake's running around and desperate grabbing just made Joshua's dominance even more obvious. Every single move was predicted and shut down instantly. Logan Paul's internet damage control can't change what actually happened. Joshua's power and accuracy kept Jake defending for his life the entire fight. Every failed takedown attempt, every time he backed away just proves the massive difference between YouTube hype and heavyweight reality, showing that Joshua's a true predator in that ring, while Logan's excuses completely crumble under the weight of what everyone actually saw.
He didn't just run, but generally, you know, the game plan was to run a lot, hold whenever he had to. He dropped his knees for
The Wade concept slices right through Logan Paul's spin job, revealing the brutal facts. Jake's survival mode was the only thing that kept him standing. Anthony Joshua's power and pinpoint accuracy made any attempt to trade shots basically suicide. Logan's desperate attempts to hype up his brother completely collapse when you examine what really went down. This fight exposed the Paul family's real limitations and Joshua's ice-cold dominance, making internet bravado completely meaningless when faced with true heavyweight supremacy. Jake's only win was staying conscious, and Joshua's precision and raw strength showed exactly why elite heavyweights should never be taken lightly.
You're justified in saying Jake ran from him because he had to. He had to. And anybody that convinced themselves that Jake was going to walk to the center of the ring, stand in the phone booth with AJ, and trade punches until someone laid flat, you were...
The Wade concept reveals the savage reality of what went down in there. Jake Paul's entire game plan was pure survival mode, praying to land one lucky right hand while trying not to get murdered by Anthony Joshua, this elite heavyweight monster. Logan Paul trying to spin this as some heroic performance looks ridiculous when the video shows Joshua dictating everything. Joshua might not have looked like the destroyer fans wanted to see, but his calculated power, perfect timing, and ring intelligence were absolutely devastating. Every feint and strike showed Jake's weaknesses, sucking his energy and forcing him into desperate defensive mode. Logan's internet tough guy act just makes the contrast between YouTube hype and real heavyweight mastery even more obvious. This fight proved that all the social media followers in the world can't compete with real skill, power, and experience. leaving Jake humbled and Joshua's dominance crystal clear.
Were the only two things that really were going to happen here, and it was about 95% that AJ was going to stop Jake Paul. I thought a lot earlier than he actually did, but we'll get to why I think it took as long as it did in a second. And you saw the game plan from both guys from round one. Jake was very mobile. I mean, he had the happy feet going. He was circling around the outside of the ring. He was...
Nikisa Bidarian exposes the tactical genius of Anthony Joshua. Jake Paul kept trying to tie him up in clinches, but Joshua's ring intelligence and power demolished every single attempt. Each defensive move and precise counter sucked Jake's energy way faster than anyone expected. Logan Paul trying to praise his brother just highlights the massive gap between social media hype and actual heavyweight ability. Joshua's dominance was like surgery, finding every weakness, controlling everything, and showing the Paul brothers' real limitations. Those clinches weren't Jake's opportunity. They were a trap that demonstrated Joshua's experience and power. Logan's heroic narrative gets crushed under the weight of Joshua's cold, calculated mastery.
I thought it was much better than I thought it would be. I mean, I know that people are going to say, well, Jake was running and Jake was hold, but listen, I mean, at the end of the day, Jake had one job, and that was to try and survive. I mean, he was never, ever going to win the fight, ever, ever. And if you would have said to me, do I think he'll go 6 rounds? I would have said absolutely not. I mean, I felt that it would take AJ a couple of rounds to get hold of.
Anthony Joshua gives Jake Paul credit for having guts, but the real story is Anthony's complete domination. Right from the first bell, Joshua controlled everything about this fight, and Jake's only choice was trying to survive. Every punch, every fake from Joshua reminded everyone why real heavyweights operate on a completely different level than YouTube fighters. Logan Paul's internet bragging about his brother's heroics is absolutely ridiculous. Jake getting dropped repeatedly and the physical beating he took makes it obvious this was never even close to competitive. Joshua's power, timing, and ring intelligence controlled the pace, forcing Jake into desperate survival mode for all 6 rounds. Even when Jake tried to get back up, Joshua's non-stop pressure showed the brutal difference between social media hype and real heavyweight ability. This fight exposed the Paul brothers' ceiling while proving Anthony Joshua's status as a true, unstoppable heavyweight killer.
I could have knocked him out at the start, but as we saw tonight, Jake has spirit. He has some heart. He tried his best, and I take my hat off to him because, number one, a lot of fighters haven't got in the ring with me, and Jake did.
David Hay breaks it down with ruthless honesty. Jake Paul's side-to-side movement and overhand strategy sounded smart on paper but got completely destroyed by Anthony Joshua's elite precision and power. Every time Jake tried to land something clean, he got punished even worse, ending up with a broken jaw and blood everywhere. Logan Paul's exaggerated stories about Jake's performance fall apart when you see Joshua's real dominance. Joshua controlled the pace, owned the ring, and punished every mistake with deadly accuracy. This wasn't some YouTube circus act. This was a professional heavyweight masterclass. Jake's courage deserves respect, but his survival and tiny victories just prove the enormous gap between social media fame and the brutality of real heavyweight boxing. Anthony Joshua's dominance can't be argued with, leaving the Paul brothers humbled and completely exposed.
To do, he got the knockout, everyone was expecting it. It's very difficult to pin someone down when they're not trying to engage. Jake's game plan was a good one, was to use lateral movement and hope to land a big overhand right at some stage to catch AJ off guard. Didn't quite work out, but you got to give Jake credit. Took some big shots there. I think he's got a broken jaw or some spitting blood at the end of the fight. No, anything's possible. He gave it a go. He dared to be great. Didn't work out for him, understandably. That's why he was such a massive underdog.
Johnny Nelson nails the harsh truth about Jake Paul's real limitations. Speed and fancy footwork were Jake's only weapons, but Anthony Joshua's timing, power, and heavyweight experience made them basically useless. Logan Paul's online story about Jake's courageous fight crumbles when you actually look at what happened. Joshua's relentless pressure and accurate strikes destroyed Jake physically and mentally. Every retreat, every failed attack showed the huge difference between a social media star and a real professional heavyweight. Joshua's control of the fight, his ability to see and punish mistakes, and the obvious exhaustion on Jake's face proved the brutality and reality of elite heavyweight boxing. Logan Paul's internet bravado can't rewrite this story. Joshua dominated completely, and the Paul brothers got exposed.
And yeah, Jake Paul was small, he was a little faster to get out of the way, he used his footwork. But there was nothing else they could use because AJ, once he slowed down and started to gas out, you could see.
Counterpunch boxing shows the brutal reality Anthony Joshua delivered in that ring. Jake Paul didn't just lose. He got physically torn apart, his nose destroyed, face covered in blood. Every injury a reminder that social media tough talk can't survive against a real heavyweight. Logan Paul trying to make this sound heroic is completely laughable. What you can actually see speaks louder than any internet story. Joshua's calculated power, timing, and precision left Jake hurt and confused, showing the massive difference between YouTube hype and true boxing skill. Every strike told the story of total dominance, and every defensive move Jake tried just delayed the inevitable punishment. This fight was a reality check for the Paul brothers. Courage and smart movement only go far when you're facing a professional heavyweight destroyer like Anthony Joshua. Real skill and devastating power always win.
His nose is jacked up. This dude got his nose split and slid. His shit's moved.
Anthony Joshua didn't just win, he completely destroyed every story Logan Paul tried to create. Jake Paul brought courage, side movement, and hope, but Joshua's power, precision, and ring intelligence found every flaw, left his face bloody and his jaw completely shattered. Logan's internet tough talk couldn't hide what really happened. This was a masterclass in heavyweight destruction. The fight proved again that social media fame can't compete with elite boxing skill. Now it's time for you to speak up. Do you think Jake Paul should ever get back in there with a real heavyweight again? Will Logan keep spinning his internet stories, or has Anthony Joshua taught them both a lesson they'll remember forever? Drop your thoughts below and let's discuss this incredible beatdown.